staying with us. I know it has been a long day, but I'm very excited about this next presentation. I've seen this one before. It is fantastic. It will get us energized. It is Dr. Michelle Singh, who is the inaugural Assistant Commissioner of the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board's Division of Digital Learning. So came all the way from Texas to meet with us today. Her career spans over 2 decades. Dr. Singh has established herself as a strategic visionary, expertly navigating the intersections of digital infusion, artificial intelligence, open education, and change management in higher education. So very relevant for what we do. She's renowned for her ecosystem approach to digital transformation. Dr. Singh has garnered global recognition for her pioneering work as a transformative leader and advocate of open education. Her influence extends across numerous prestigious organizations, and she has served as chairperson of the board for the Texas Distance Learning Association, held positions on the board of directors and advisory board for the United States Distance Learning Association, USDLA, and was a founding member and chair of the Texas A&M University System Council for Academic Technology and Innovative Education. Just one more thing, there's a long list, but she has been inducted into the Texas Digital Learning Association Hall of Fame. So a Hall of Famer. Thank you very much for coming to join us today.
No problem.
Dr. Michelle Singh.
Well, that wasn't it. You know, you write your own introduction. So I don't know, everybody's so surprised, right? Like, oh my goodness, that was so long and that was so much. I submitted it. So I cannot pretend that I didn't know that that was going to happen, but thank you so much. Quick check for the people online. Can you all hear my audio?
Yep,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Awesome. Okay, well, I am thrilled to be here. Thank you for the opportunity, Alex. I sincerely appreciate it. Dan, thank you so much for allowing me an opportunity to talk to my fellow colleagues that today are not at a distance, but the others online are at a distance. So thank you for letting me connect with you all. I got off the plane yesterday and I was a little confused because y'all have white blankets everywhere. And I wasn't really sure what was happening. So I walked outside and it's cold. It's cold and it's a different kind of cold. Remember, I'm from Texas. I'm not just from Texas. I'm from South Texas. As in Texas meet Mexico, there's Michelle originally. And now I live on the Gulf Coast. So it's the beach. So this is a little different. I wore crop pants. For those of you that cannot see me online, they're absolutely gorgeous, super styling, exactly the trend right now. Just go with it because you can't see it anyway. But I wore crop pants thinking, oh, this is going to be fine. It's not going to be cold at all. Wrong again, but it was wonderful that some of your faculty said, oh, no, this is actually not cold. The weather today is not cold, so crop pants are great. So thank you for a wonderful fashion choice. But enough about that. We're going to talk today a little bit about adapting to innovation. And really, it's a concept that you probably already have in practice or probably have decades of practicing this. We're just going to formalize it a little bit. And we're going to talk about what it means to be strategic and to build capacity as we begin this journey of artificial intelligence. And it's just a start, right? A lot and whatever comes after that. And, oh, cool. All right. We're just going to use the tools here. So what are we going to talk about today? This is odd. There we go. Okay. Just needed a little bit of, it's tired. It's 3:45, right? Who doesn't love a 3:45 closing keynote? I mean, seriously, it's like the session after lunch. Who doesn't love that one? Okay. So the agenda. Today, we're going to talk about emerging innovation. And what I mean by that is we're going to look at the larger scope of what is actually happening in our world when it comes to artificial intelligence, what it is propelling, what other innovations come from artificial intelligence, and where we can go from there. We're then going to transition into this concept of adaptation and how we begin to gain an agility mindset to be able to respond to the forthcoming changes that are happening. We'll go through an applied example of an agility framework, which is something that my colleague and I created, and my colleagues at the coordinating board have really pushed forward in all of the work that we're doing. It gives us a place of sanity to start as we approach the unknown. And then we'll have time for questions, hopefully, but if we don't, you can always reach out to me directly and I can help you answer any of those questions that you may have. So a little bit about me. AI created this amazing image. Doesn't it look exactly like me? I don't know what, every time AI creates a picture of me, I think, should I be offended or grateful? I don't know yet because it can take years off. This one I think took me back to like elementary school with a grown-up body. So either way, this is me. This is not me, but this is what came from AI from my poor profile picture. And so to tell you a little bit, I have 25 years in higher education. 5 of those years have been spent currently at the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, which is a state agency. And we handle all, work with all of our higher education partners to be a resource and advocate and a partner to advance higher ed. 20 years at higher education institutions prior to that. The best time of my career, I miss being at institutions every single day. 3 universities and 2 university systems. We have 7 university systems in the state of Texas. And you all thought you had it. We have 7. So let's coordinate those. We have 2 community colleges is where I worked. We have 50 community colleges in the state of Texas. 6 cities in Texas. And like I said, I come from the southern border there. So I moved up north throughout that time and made it all the way to Corpus Christi, which is only 2 hours away from where I started. But I am big time now. Eventually I'll get to San Antonio, which is another 2 hours north, guys. This is all working out real well. I have worked in many different places within the institutional ecosystem. So that's why you'll consistently hear me thinking about things, not just from the instructional lens, but also from student services, from enrollment management and so forth. And so I've been a staff member before, a very proud staff member. I'm an adjunct faculty member, an administrator. I've had the privilege of working in many divisions across, like I mentioned, enrollment management, student services, academic affairs, information technology, and in policy. And so I have 4 different degrees, right? Or 4 different credentials. The first one is computer science. So you're thinking, oh, that will explain a lot of things. Just get ready for it. The way that I approach AI really is from a computer science foundation, right? And we'll talk a little bit about those people. Any computer scientists in the crowd? Yes, hi, we can talk later at dinner. It's a completely different language. Okay, great. Counseling and guidance and counselor education. And you're thinking you went from computer science to counseling and guidance. Yes, thank goodness for randomness. And it'll all make sense later, I promise. Then I also went into educational leadership and administration. So all of that put together brings me to where I am today. And I think I use my counseling skills more every single day than I do anything else. But it really is, my counselors in the house are doing this thing. Yes, it is a very big asset in your career. But computer science is really how I approach problem solving and so forth. I have worked at 3 different universities I studied in 3 different universities across 2 university systems and a partridge in a pear tree. And I am one amazing life. So this is kind of where I put everything into perspective. I am a mother, I am a wife, I'm a daughter, I am a sister, and I am a friend. And that's really where everything's at my core. Now, the reason I told you all of that extremely fast is I have 0 time. I have 0 time to do absolutely anything, even though the expectation is that we have to do so much. I would say I have 0 energy, but I think me standing up here pretty much defies that because I think I have quite a bit of energy, but I think it's used to conceal the fact that I have no time. So what I want to go ahead and do right now is start with probably the most important question of the entire presentation. Introducing the Panda Meter. When it comes to emerging innovations, which panda are you? Are you number 1? And those online can use the chat. Everybody in here can just kind of hold up the finger. Are you number 1 that is just happy-go-lucky? Yeah, let's do this. Are you number 2 that's like, where's the door? Let me get out of here now. Are you number 3 that has just immersed themselves into everything you can possibly read? Are you number 4 that's playing it cool, kind of sitting back, watching what everybody else is doing before you figure out what path? Are you number 5 that's excited and scared and wants to run? Yes, all right, somebody's like, I'm a 5. All right, that's good. Let's calm down and have a breathing exercise later. Okay, this is good. Or are you number 6, heart robot already? This is an important question, people. All right, feel free to finger. There you go, there you go. Oh, I see a Robo Panda. Whoever's sitting next to Robo Panda, get up and move. All right, okay. Good. Okay, so that's good. I love that some of you are switching your fingers. So like as we speak, you're thinking and transitioning to motion. So the one number in online, I think you also had a variation of the number that you're at. The number I didn't see is 21. And the reason I say 21 is because that is the sum of all of the other pandas. 21, I think, is where I spend majority of my time. I don't know if I get excited about something, then I start reading a little bit more and think, ew, maybe not. Or I start reading and think, this is great. Or I look at it and think, this is one of those, and I'm just going to wait a little bit, right? So I start all my days as a really happy panda. And I don't know, talk about Throwback Thursday, right? I don't know if you've seen this video with the panda, the angry panda and the computer. Can you all see the computer in there? Does that bring memories back? Oregon Trail, anybody? Thank you. No? Okay, I'll buy myself. I love that some of you did not leave me hanging and the others are very confused. So thank you. But either way, you will go through many emotions. The reason I tell you this is let's approach it as humans. Let's approach this conversation through some of the feelings that we will experience because they are going to determine the path that we move forward. So let's dive right on in. These names on here, plus many, many more, should be very familiar to you, right? We've all seen them before, whether they be in LinkedIn, which seems to be drowning with a lot of these, any news online, anything, any conversation about artificial intelligence or emerging innovations, you will see some of these logos, right? From the very first one that was the first out of the gate, ChatGPT, OpenAI. So if you notice, this happens all the time. People in conversation will not tell you that they're using Gen AI. What will they tell you? They're using ChatGPT. It's the same way when you say, can I have a Kleenex? And what you actually mean is, can I have a tissue, right? Or when you say, oh, you know what? Let's Zoom later. I'm going to send you the Teams link. And it's one of those things, the first one out is the one that gets the name. And so you'll hear that. If you hear ChatGPT, it may mean that, it may not mean, so keep that in context. But there's a lot, right? There's Chatty, as I like to call ChatGPT. There's Gemini, there's Copilot with Microsoft, there's now DeepSeek, there's Claude with Anthropic, who Claude is my go-to. There's Llama with Meta, but I mean, you name it, there's a lot. And then there's also very specific technology for certain tasks, like Suno with audio, Otterbox. There's Midjourney. I'm sure have y'all ever created a podcast with Midjourney? Okay, well, feel free to make sure you have some food or something that you can rest in, because it's going to be a roller coaster of emotions if you do. It's a lot of fun, but then there's also a lot of other things that go along with it. Poe is one of my absolute favorites. Poe is definitely one that I go to. Boodlebox also. There's a lot of names that you will hear and a lot of names that people are going to throw out. Try to ignore them. You're thinking, then why are you talking about them? How can I ignore you if you're on stage? Very good point. I am telling you these names because these are the ones that I've interacted with, but I also want you to remember that we're talking about artificial intelligence holistically. So there's a lot underneath that. We're going to dig a little deeper right now. So here's a fun fact that I need you to process. ChatGPT now has 400 million weekly active users, equating to approximately 5% of the planet. Now, I can guarantee this number is already out of date, and the reason is because the data was taken about a week and a half ago. And so therefore, whomever published that probably is already out of date. The reason that is important, once again, ChatGPT has made its mark, but it's important because this is a technology that we can no longer avoid. Whether we engage in it or not is a different story, but we can no longer avoid it. You will run into it, you will find out about it, and so forth. Now, what we're also seeing is that there is another layer that has been built or is starting to grow from the original LLMs that I showed you at the beginning, which were like the Copilots of the world and the Anthropics. So I'm not sure if you've heard or not, but Alexa got an upgrade. So she is now Alexa Plus. And all of you are thinking, okay, that matters in the sense that you can now have conversations with Alexa. Yes, Gemini Advanced has deep research. If you have engaged in deep research or not yet, Poe has Poe apps, which allows you to get outside of Poe, and you can start to do a lot more with that. There's Grok 3, there's ChatGPT 4, there's Claude 3.7. And if you'll notice, none of these numbers make sense to you if you don't follow them. And it cracks me up that people talk in numbers, because as software developers, we talk in numbers. We talk about versions. We talk about every number means something. As a user, every number confuses me. And we need to understand that. And we'll keep going. It is more about Gen AI, though. And that's one of the pieces we tend to forget. It's not just about artificial intelligence does not mean Gen AI. It actually means a lot more than that. And so we're entering the idea there's other pieces to consider, like quantum computing. There are things like self-driving vehicles. There's wearable technology, holograms, reusable rockets, a lot of things that are coming from at an amazing speed from this concept of artificial intelligence, but just emerging innovation in general. The other big conversation that is happening is this idea of an agentic culture. Have y'all heard of agentic cultures or agents? If you haven't, this is the next one that's coming up. So this is also Gen AI. This is also artificial intelligence. When you talk about agentic culture, what you are talking about is a particular agent is designed to do one task for you. It is designed to go through a sensing mechanism, goal setting, planning, acting, and checking. So in the simplest of contexts, if I wanted a robot to vacuum my house, that's an agent. All it does is vacuum my house. Whatever it has to do, It can go through all of these stages, but it's going to vacuum my house. The next layer of that is a multi-agent system. The multi-agent system takes a lot of these agents and has them work together to accomplish a larger task. That is a multi-agent culture. So back to that vacuum bot, I would have a vacuum bot, then I would also have a duster bot, and then I would have a mop bot. And all of them together would give me sparkling clean floors. As you can tell, I did not have sparkling clean floors when I left my house, which is why this is the example you get. If there was something else that was happening, you get a different one. But this is how simple it can be to understand. How many of you have heard it in simple terms like this before? Or how often do we hear things in simple terms? Not very. A lot of the times we will hear all of these different, it's amazing because people can grandstand for a long time over all of these pieces because they are complicated. They are complicated. But what I encourage you to do is see the simplicity in the technology. See the simplest example that you can find so that you have a point of reference for everything else. I promise it will change the way that you approach technology. A faculty member of mine told me that when I was in my computer science program years ago, and I've been grateful ever since. It is a different way of approaching things. Okay, so I am not an AI expert in any way, shape, or form. Again, you're thinking, Alex, Dan, this is the person they brought. Yes. I am not an AI expert, but I have been in higher education for quite some time. Ethan Mollick, on the other hand, familiar with Ethan Mollick? Anybody read Co-Intelligence? Co-Intelligence is a really great book. It offers a very different perspective, offers a great perspective. Ethan Mollick is one of the most reputable people in artificial intelligence, really keeps tabs with things. This is what he said on LinkedIn less than a week and a half ago. As someone who is pretty good at keeping up with AI, I can barely keep up with it at all. That leads me to believe that very few other people are keeping up either. So on one hand, don't feel bad. You aren't on top of it all. On the other hand, it means no one has the whole picture. Keep that in mind and don't be hard on yourself if you don't understand 100% of what I just talked about. That is not the expectation. And if that is the expectation you have on yourself, that is unrealistic. So just try to be aware of how you learn and how you interact with the technology. Having said that, this conversation and just the conversation in general about artificial intelligence is actually not about the technology. But that's all we hear, right? We hear about the tech. It is actually not a conversation about technology. It is about transformative impact on how we strategically approach business. It is a business strategy. It is a solution to a problem, but the technology itself is not the solution. It is the manner in which we implement it and engage our community that will make the difference. And this has been said by several leaders of several companies, as you can see on there. To enforce that fact, or to really validate that fact, you're starting to see this trend in the news where you will have news stories posted about use cases, how they went well, how they went wrong, how they're just starting. So these should all resonate with you. You've probably seen them at one point or other. The one this morning I woke up to was the UK universities warned to stress test assessments as 92% of students use AI. The following question was, how do you stress test an assessment? But that's a different story. Then came others of California State University, 100%, 500,000 students, faculty, and staff all will have access to ChatGPT. Estonia launches AI in high schools with US tech groups. These are the headlines. Notice they are not about the tech. They are about the use case scenario. Now, at the same time, what's also happening across the landscape is we're starting to see people develop guidance or guidelines, sometimes policies, sometimes rules. So the Copyright Office, and this is going to be a fun one, provided their part 2 copyrightability, say that word 6 times fast, copyrightability report, right? And so it concluded that the output of Gen AI can be protected by copyright. I'm going to say that one more time. The output of generative AI can be protected by AI. And they give you the scenario in which, right, where a human author has determined sufficient expressive elements. And then we get into the question that followed, which is, Well, how do you determine sufficient? So again, these are all compounded questions. At the same time that this is happening, the Authors Guild launched a non-AI seal, human authored, and a badge to go along with it, because everybody loves a badge. Human authored means that the text of the book was written by a human and not generated by AI, with the exception of minimal trivial uses such as AI applications that check spelling and grammar or for brainstorming or research. So there's these two different polarities, right? The thing is, we're still learning, how is this used? We still don't have a grip on how this is being used in today's economy, in today's education systems. We are learning. The cliche statement of we're building the plane as we fly it, we're building the plane, we're building the boat, we're building the train, we're building the railroad, we're building everything as we try to move, is the situation that we're in right now. Anthropic actually launched their economics index, which is quite fascinating, and I'm looking forward to reading more about it, because that actually studies utility. How are people engaging with Claude? And it'll tell you, and some of the initial findings is that it's leaning more towards augmentation, 57%, than actual authentication of work, which is at 43%. But that's not a big differential there either. And so I'm looking forward to these studies, because what they're going to determine a lot of, or help validate, is skilling. What skills do we need to start empowering our students and ourselves to be able to be successful in the world that we're going to be in today and tomorrow? We're starting to see everyone has a report. Reports are coming out of everywhere. Reports are everywhere on AI and what it means and what skills do you need. The good part is there's actually some synergy in those reports, because if there wasn't, we would be in a completely different ballgame. But in these reports, we're looking at skills that you should probably recognize: AI literacy, AI fluency. The following question on the LinkedIn string is, what is AI literacy and what is AI fluency and how do you measure it? But anyway, ethics when it comes to AI, cybersecurity, data privacy, risk assessment. Sound familiar? Digital accessibility, critically important now with all of this innovation. But this next one, digital skills. How many of us have been in digital learning online? If you want to raise your hand, you can, or give me a thumbs up. How many of you have been in digital learning in some way? I did not say teaching online classes. In digital learning for at least 5 years. Okay, so that's about 100% of the room, or 98.6. That's a very rough estimate, but 98.6 of the room have done, right? Would you say that digital skills are something that we've been talking about for quite some time now? Right? Digital information literacy, digital skills, how just because you grew up with a technology device doesn't mean you can learn from that device. All of these conversations seem familiar. I love that some of you are nodding your heads. Some of you are just tired so that you don't fall asleep, but that's okay. I will take it anyway. Go for it. Digital skills, the foundation of AI literacy and AI fluency skills. But do you ever hear those two in the same sentence? Do you ever hear people that are talking about artificial intelligence say, you need digital skills? The conversation is smaller times than we would like, because people are treating this as if it's the first time we've had a disruption in higher education, as if it's the first time that we've had a digital innovation. Now, there's other skills that should sound familiar. Your cognitive skills, critical complex thinking, anyone? No, we don't introduce that into any of our content. Why would we do that? Pardon the sarcasm, it's going to be loaded with it, so just get with it. Human skills, resilience, agility, creativity, time management, organizational skills, and the list goes on, are more critical now when engaging with these new mediums than they ever were. And they're not new. But do you hear people say, oh, here's an AI company, you need to have critical thinking skills and human skills, said the AI company. Think about that and pause and reflect on that. The other skills that are coming up, leadership and organizational and change management. Key pieces that are going to be needed as a foundation to be successful. Learning science. How do we study what's happening? Human AI interaction is a new field. We need to study what is happening in the relationships between technology and people. And then we're starting to see these new concepts of digital engagement and collaboration within these new platforms. all of these pieces, all of these different reports that are coming together to say that we need new skills, we would like to remind you, we've been needing new skills for about 25 years plus. Take comfort in that. And now there are resources everywhere. In fact, right now we are information overload. It's not at the time, I wonder if they have a resource on. It's, I wonder which of the 50 resources on this is quality that I can get through and get something out of, or meets my time frame. Now it's just a matter of pick and choose what is best for you versus I wonder if there's something out there. That's a little different than when we first started in digital learning. But you can see that there's all these different, this is an abbreviated list. Please, there are many, many others that I would love to put on there, but my slide isn't that big. Many others, right? But the idea is when you are trying to think about where do you go with AI, what should you do? Well, you usually call an expert. Alex called me. Thank you. You usually call someone, right? Someone that has experience, knowledge, has been through this, has gone through this before. That's usually who you call. Who are you going to call? Right? Okay. AI did that one too. Shout out because they gave me a Ghostbuster really cool costume. I wanted the Marshmallow Man. That one did not come out the way that it should. So this is the one that you're getting. But you call someone, right? And you look, with all due respect to all of my colleagues that are out there trying to make it in LinkedIn and in the world of social media, a lot of the times there are people that self-proclaim themselves as experts that may or may not be. You know, I've had the experience where we engage with someone that sounds like an expert because they've studied 5 articles. And those 5 articles, they know really, really well. And because I don't know enough about it, again, here comes that marker, right? We believe and we trust. So make sure to be able to evaluate well who you call an expert and who you bring in. Me, on the other hand, perfect choice. I mean, that was hands down, good job. But here's another person you can call. Insert your photo here. You. We just talked about the fact that all of us have had some exposure with digital learning, that we've all grown in this process. Online have grown as well. We have all been in this together. In fact, online, you are growing as we speak. We are the experts in this. And sometimes we forget that we are the most valuable player. And the reason that we are is because we have all been here before. Not too long ago, we had to transition environments that were fully face-to-face into digital environments. And we didn't just need to transition them. We needed to make sure that they would still be able to give quality experiences to our learners. Sometimes with, I don't know what you all had, 2 weeks maybe? 3, maybe a month? Somebody's like 2 days. Okay, I'm so sorry for you. I feel so bad, I'm sorry. But 2 days, some people did it after they were supposed to, right? Because they were still trying to figure out. Sometimes with what, 3 instructional designers? Maybe 4 for 1,000. I was like, not 3. What are you talking about? There's a 3, it was 1. For, you know, I'm so sorry again. All right, 1,000 people, 1,000 faculty, 500 faculty for how many resources? I got my fan over there. Yeah, we're good. I see you. It's like 1. Keep saying 1, so they'll give us another one. All right. So we had minimal resources, minimal time to be able to do the impossible. And you know what we did? We did it. Now, granted, there is a big difference between a remote response to an emergency to quality digital learning. That is an entire other presentation, and this is me marketing myself to come back. So just going to put that out there. But it is a very different, but you have the experience. You taught online. You taught in a hybrid format or a synchronous format online. You taught that. So who better than you to influence and inform the future? You are in control. You are the hamster that is driving that wheel. You are the hamster that is just kind of pacing and then going. But remember with the hamster, okay, if you go really fast on that wheel, what happens? Where are my physics people? Not in here, I hope. Excellent. I can tell you the story and no one's going to correct me. Great. Okay. So when you run really fast on that wheel, the hamster is going. That thing is spinning fast. One misstep, what happens to the hamster? Fluffy. It was good. Okay. So hamster's not going to do real well, right? You're going to fly off that thing. So if you are on a path and you are at a good pace and something happens, you have to make sure that you remain in control. And some of you I know have a lot of thoughts on that. Don't worry, we're going to get better. And the reason you can remain in control is you can take comfort in the fact that you've done this before. Calculators were supposed to replace the way that we did mathematics, that we were never going to understand mathematics. Some of you are laughing and thinking, do we? We do. We understand it. It's okay. Different levels of understanding, but we understand it as a society. Okay. What about online gaming? Who would want to play with a computer online? Who wants to play games online? If any of you have teenagers at home, you can tell me that that's a thing. If any of you are the husbands and wives that play online, fellow friends, all right. That is a big field. That is a big field. Just look at the dollars that come in with that. Online learning. How can you learn online? There's no rigor in online learning. How can you do that? I'm sure several of us in here are probably the products of online education. And I'm pretty sure you're making a difference and are brilliant. Open education resources. There can't be any quality in a free resource. Who does that? OpenStax, anybody? Saving students millions and millions of dollars a year. We have had these pieces of conversation. We have reflected on these things before. This is not new. But you know what always happens to us? We play the either or game. I can either be for and pro AI, or I am just completely not going to have it. We have camps on one side or the other. The or in the middle is stopping us from truly transforming. You can keep your or. You can keep your opinion, but don't let it stop you from being able to respond to your environment in the way that you feel comfortable. I want to be the guy in the middle there. I want to be the guy in the middle that's still steady in their path, but also still willing to change. Digital learning is in the spotlight right now. And that's either a good or a bad thing. It can be both. What did I just say about or, right? It is gone are the times where we were begging for a seat at the table. Please include me. I am very guilty and proud at the same time of inviting myself to many meetings where I would go and sit down and they're like, Michelle, did we invite you to this one? I was like, no, but you're going to need me. You just don't know it yet, but you're going to need me. Yes, I did get escorted out of a couple, but you know what? Some of them I stayed and I did some pretty good things. But we are no longer inviting ourselves to the table. We are now throwing the dinner party. We are throwing the dinner party with guests that were like, we did not invite you, but I've been there. So come on over. It is a position of power. It is a position of very much uncertainty, and there is fear associated with it. And what I encourage you to do is do not lose that fear, but use that fear. And the way that you use it is you strategically approach this change, whatever it may be. A reminder that human intelligence created artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is designed to augment our human intelligence. So I talk a big game. How do we do this? How do we move forward together, and how do we get there? We move forward by leveraging this, our community, by leveraging the power of open education, the principles of open education. We change the narrative. We switch from this idea that whatever disruption may be coming is a barrier to what are the opportunities in it. We switch from the technology itself to a strategic viewpoint of how do I best deploy the technology if needed. We move from reacting to adapting. We move to the other AI, adapting to innovation and cultivating an agility mindset, which sounds really simple in theory, but it can be really hard to actually put in practice. So I will tell you, I recently went to the urgent care, which I feel is now my PCP, but that's a different story. Urgent care. Anybody go to urgent care? Okay. Anybody go to, yes. So I'm not feeling well. I'm at the urgent care. Why would I feel well? I walk in, there's nobody at the reception table. Like there's nobody, there's a little sign. And I'm very curious because I'm like, who's here to check me in? Because I'm not feeling well. I need to see somebody. So I get there and I ring the bell because they have a bell. So that's cool. And someone comes out. I'm going to call him Billy. Billy comes out. Billy sits down. He says, ma'am, do you have an appointment? I said, I do. I just made it in the car. I have an appointment. He says, great. Okay. He says, I can go ahead and check you in. Perfect. I have my insurance card, my license, my credit card. I am good to go. Get me in, get me some meds. I'm good. He says, can you please scan this QR code? I was like, sure. Is there like a survey or something that I get? Can you help me first? And then I do the survey. So I scan the QR. He says, no, this is to check you in. I was like, oh, okay. So I scan the QR code. It opens up the portal. And Billy's looking at me very confused. I am still handing him my stuff. And he says, okay, please go take a seat and fill it out. And I was like, no, but I'm right here. And I have my card so that you can do it. Help me do it, Billy. Billy says, no, you can do everything online. It's real easy. Go ahead and go. So there I am. I go and I do it. I'm in technology. I should know how to do this. So I go and I sit there. I scan everything. I think, oh, this is a good process. I don't have to worry about anything. I take the pictures of my license, take the pictures of my insurance card. And then I get to the back of my insurance card, which happens to be the last thing, as always, and it won't do it. And I'm thinking, internet, this is not a good day. I don't feel well. I'm probably not pushing the right button. I get up and go ring the bell so I can find Billy. And I tell Billy, I'm on the last one. I mean, it's not working. Can you help me? And so I show him my phone and he tries to do it 3 times. He's like, no, it's not going to work out. He's like, go ahead and give it to me. I can check you in. And I was like, oh, Billy, you and I are going to have some. I was like, okay, could we have done this from the beginning? He says, oh yeah, I can, my system, I can do it from here. I thought, okay, Billy, I appreciate you very much, but I just had to go do all that and I'm not really feeling well. And you could have just checked me in. So I'm missing what the connection is. And he very confidently looked at me and said, if I would have done it for you, then next time that you come, you wouldn't have known how to do it by yourself. And I may not be here. And I thought, Billy, you didn't do anything for me right now, but thank you so much, because next time maybe we look somebody that helped me the first time. But as a side, that was an internal conversation. I said, thank you, Billy. And as much as Billy irked me and got under my skin because I was not feeling well, he had a point. My immediate needed my attention, and it got my attention. I wanted to get through there. But what I needed at that moment, Billy was right. It's not what I'll need tomorrow. And it's not what I'll need just for healthcare. It's what I need everywhere, right? Everyone has a QR code. Now everything's online. So what I want us to do is I encourage you to take a step back. And while you are learning new things today, learn what the framework, build a framework or something that will guide you into tomorrow. How you approach Gen AI and artificial intelligence is going to be how you approach quantum computing if we get there, XR, VR if you're trying to do that, holograms, all of these other pieces that may be the next disruption in higher education. The difference is you'll be prepared with a mindset that and confidence that you have done it before. Now you're thinking, okay, I don't have time to build a framework. So if you want to help me out, I can. Ask and you shall receive. So my colleague, Dr. Calatorre, and I have been talking through this along with our amazing colleagues at the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, and we came up with the Adapting to Innovation Agility Framework. And what it does is it actually is a very simple way of approaching any type of emerging innovation or technology. It starts with a landscape analysis. What is happening in the world around you for this particular topic? It goes into 3 different buckets so that you can see the gaps in whatever you need to establish for your own guidelines for an institution or an individual. Buckets of governance, operational, practice, and pedagogy. If you notice at the intersection and at the core are the human interactions, right? Students, staff, which include faculty and administrators, and stakeholders, which include your community, include your industry partners. And all of this is on a foundation of change management. If you notice, it is continual change management. And so this has been a very a tried and tested framework that we have utilized in all of the operations in the agency. And the more we talk to our partners outside of Texas, outside of our agency, at our institutions, it applies. And so I ask you, if you need a place to start here, so that you don't feel like you're running in every direction and not getting anywhere. Don't be the hamster on the wheel. That's my PSA for today. Do not be the hamster on the wheel. Okay. So really quickly, Alex, time check real quick. So very quickly, we're going to go through an example of the framework, right? And so in Texas, we decided to do a landscape analysis, asking all our institutions, what are you doing in AI? Because as a central agency, we didn't just want to create resources that were already being created across the state. And so what we discovered was 20 institutions had already started creating an AI 101, AI core elements, the important essentials of AI, artificial intelligence, beginner's edition, artificial intelligence for non-beginners edition. I mean, there were so many different variations. So do you believe that the state should invest in an AI course? If some of you say yes, this is going to be a great question. No, okay, no. But you know what we should do is take those 20 courses, figure out where the synergy is, and maybe create another one out of that that fills the gaps that are not covered by those other 20 that are out there. So maybe it's, how do you use chatbots in your course, or how do you assess? So it gives you opportunity to develop more things if you're not replicating the same thing over and over and over again. Instead, what we do is we create community to build resources. Governance. How many of you have an AI committee on your campus? council, committee, a group. Okay. I love that somebody's like, oh, I'm on it. I'm on it. Okay, good. Yes, yes. Okay, good. That's the meeting you go to on Tuesdays with cookies and coffee. Score. Okay. All right. So how many of those committees are part of another standing committee, one that's already been established, or is it brand new? Brand new? Okay. So more than likely your campuses and institutions have a learning technology advisory committee or distance education advisory committee, a committee on information technology or something, right? Are the people on these new AI committees representatives from those committees? You don't have to answer. Some of you are like, oh yeah, they are, I am it. And if you are the one that's on all of those committees, we need to talk about your time management skills, but that's a whole other conversation. Let's talk over dinner. But a lot of the times what happens is because we treat artificial intelligence as this new commodity, we don't lean into the structures we already have in place on campuses with set protocols and guidance and familiarity points. We create something new and start to level everybody up again on topics that have been going on for quite some time. I'm pretty sure that all of our institutions have implemented an enterprise application system. In fact, the learning management system, I've had the pleasure of doing 3 on 3 different campuses, and look, I'm still trembling from it. It's so great. But we learned something. So we utilized our committees that were in place. We also utilized our partners across the nation because we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. Time check, Alex? Okay. On the operational side, this is not a conversation about technology, right? I started that when I first started talking. On the operational side, we encourage you to look at what you already have in place at your institutions. And what I mean by that is several people had, some of our Texas institutions did this in particular and did it very well. We had Grammarly, Microsoft, and a couple of other technologies that are already using AI in their softwares that have been deployed across campuses. So instead of standing up their own infrastructure, they leveraged the infrastructure that was already in place to be able to start the conversation about engaging in artificial intelligence. Now there are several learning management systems that are already introducing AI into your LMS and your regular routines in the LMS. We encourage people in operations to look at the technology hardware you have at your access. In our case, we have DL Texas, which is our central landing page that we use, which is our online community for everyone to engage in and be a part of. The reason I caution for us to look at what we already have resonates from a student panel that we did a couple of months ago. We were talking to students and we were talking about the amazing innovation and how much emerging innovations can look at us as a recruitment tool, and what do they think about environments and universities that are engaging actively with technology, all of these different wonderful pieces. And we had some students give us some really great feedback. And they mentioned, when I first went to University ABC, I went because they had a strong digital presence. I was able to apply online. I was able to get in contact with my advisor online. I was able to talk to my housing team and my RA online. I mean, it was great. It was definitely where I needed to be. Awesome. Happy student. Semester 2, they start school. And all of a sudden, they start to realize that they also have to download something to pay their tuition or their fees. They have to download what is happening at the cafeteria so they know whether they're going to eat there or not. They have to download the parking app to make sure that they can park in the garage. That same RA that they were contacting before was contacting them through the RA app, which was a recruitment app, not the actual enrollment app. So that was a different app that they needed to do. And so the students getting a little overwhelmed. Then we start talking about academics. They start their semester. This is not even starting their semester yet. They start their semester and they have 6 classes. Clearly the student is go. 6 classes, right? Excited about their major, really, really love it, have experience as a dual credit student, so they're good. They know what it's like to study in this environment. They have 6 different instructors. All those 6 different instructors have 6 different areas that they're using. They're using the LMS, but then they're using study guides, and they're using these AI or apps in that case, to personalize tutoring and other resources to support their journey within their classes. And the student now has to engage with many different apps, some that are approved by the university and some that are, we're not going to talk about it, but some that are approved by the university. Student is very concerned now. because the student is trying to figure out, how do I use these apps before I can even get to the content that I'm trying to learn for that specific course. Then by the time they go through their first year, at this point in time, they have also realized I needed to go visit other things on campus that I hadn't gotten into that still require an app. I wanted to go see a concert. I needed an app. I wanted to go see a counselor. I needed an app. I needed to go get a flu shot. I needed an app. I need a nap, I think is what I said. That's very Freudian. But yes, okay. So, you need an app for everything. Okay, so now you need an AI for everything. I mean, there's so many things that the students very honestly said. I was so overwhelmed by all of the technical innovation that we had. I couldn't learn what I needed to for my academic career. I wasn't prepared for the content retainment that needed to happen, but I knew how to use an app. I say this not to be negative about digital innovation. In fact, please continue, but do it strategically and together. Because as much as we're innovating in all these different departments, it's for one student experience. And we have to remember that. The other part is I do a lot of these talks, and I constantly hear well, we design with students in mind, and we design for students. And my reply is, and why don't you design with students? Why aren't we inviting students to the table? Because you know what students are doing right now? The same thing we are, learning how to use this. They may learn a little faster and maybe not know all the boundaries of how to apply things, but that's again a growth thing. It's an AI literacy / digital literacy conversation. But keep that in mind. On the practice pedagogy side, you're doing exactly what you need to do. Kudos to Alex, to Dan, to everybody that's here. You are joining in this community, which is wonderful. This is where it gets fun. You get to be creative. You get to redesign. Notice I said fun. Some of you are like with your arms up and you're like, did you just say fun that we have to go back and redo? I'm sorry. No, we have an opportunity to go back and look at how we're delivering things. But I will tell you the one critical mistake that you can do right now as a faculty member. You can go back and reassess your course, but please do not redesign your entire course based on AI technology. Yes, I said that out loud. And the reason I am saying is you cannot do that because you cannot know your assessment strategy if you're going to do that. Because an overhaul completely can be a lot of time. And that may or may not work if you have not given yourself a time to evaluate yourself and the progress that it's doing for your class, and if you can take the technology overload. So I caution because I worry about you as people. It's the counselor in me. I worry about you in this process. I worry about me too. All right, engagement and connections, critical piece. We need to make sure that we keep connecting, that we keep going to events, that we do research together, that we do resources. Change management. And this is the part that I'll kind of wrap everything up in. When I said that was the foundation, I meant that was the foundation. Everyone expects us to do what? Be superheroes and turn into Superman in the afternoon, or Wonder Woman, or whomever, the caricature of your choice, and be able to do everything all at once, right? That's not reality. And so when we're talking about artificial intelligence, we have to know on the institutional level and the individual level whether or not we are ready. Pro-sci change management, I was a pro-sci change practitioner, so full disclosure on that. This is only one of the many change management theories that exist. But in this case, these are the components that need to be in place for someone to be able to change effectively. Awareness and desire. You can have both of those things as faculty members, because I know we want to do better, and I know we want to be better, whether that be with technology or just in our own discipline. But if we are not given the knowledge, more than anything, if we are not given the ability to do so, and that's what I mean by we need to rethink the way that we approach this work. The ability to not have 50 competing priorities so that you can learn how to be proficient in this. We need to strategically approach this change, because that's how we win. And we win for tomorrow, not for today. And then we do it all over again. Right now, we are so focused on what it is capable, and I mean it by artificial intelligence and any innovation, that we forget what we are capable of doing. We are so interested in seeing how technology works that we forget to look at how we work. We need to remember, oh, and that was said by me. So in case anybody wants to quote it, that was mine. Okay, we need to remember that our students are asking us to do this. They want us to do this because they want you to know you can trust them. Some of you are laughing right now, and I get it. But the same token, they trust us. It's a dual side. It's actually a Swift trust concept that started in digital learning 25 years ago. They're saying we need you to teach us how to use this in the safety of our courses and our environments to advance in our learning and reach our career aspirations. The bottom line, students are saying we need you. We can take this opportunity to reimagine how we drive change, how we educate, how we learn, how we innovate, and how we lead. Because I will tell you that adapting to innovation isn't easy. It takes time, dedication, commitment, communication, resources, support, teamwork. It takes vision, it takes strategy, it takes champions. It takes you and it takes me. Or shall I say, it takes you and I. My English people, please don't look at my grammar. You lead the AI. Thank you for your time this afternoon. And I don't know if we have time for questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Michelle. Who has the first question? How about online? I don't want to forget you all there. Anything came up in the chat?
Hi, Alex. It's John. There's nothing in the chat yet.
Hi, John.
All you see is applause. Is that what I heard? Oh, good, good. I'm glad. Thank you. Thank you for that.
What have we got? Yes, Megan.
I was like, it's overwhelming
Okay.
silence is good. I'm going to say I did a good job conveying my message and you're speechless. And it's 4. So you're good, or later than that. So, hi.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you so much. Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
So one of the things that captured my eye during your talk was the fact that AI is now being integrated into high schools. And as a parent, I have young children, and I think about all the different things that they engage with in social media that they don't fully understand the implications of the things that they post online. So how can we even begin to work to helping guide them toward boundaries? I realize this is slightly off topic, but at the same time, I think it ties in, right? Because we're entering information into AI all the time, right? And so somewhere all of that information is being logged and categorized. So do we have to be concerned about that? And what are the potential implications of our use of it, of our children's use of it?
And so I have a 5-year-old. I have the same question. So thank you. We can definitely connect on that part. I am also not a K-12 expert. So I cannot talk to the education system from the agency perspective because those are my colleagues at the Texas Education Agency. What I can say is what I say about everything is we need to make sure we're part of the conversation instead of something happening to us. We need to make sure that we are actively looking at what is happening in the world around us and how we can add our opinion or find out more information and be part of those, wherever those conversations are happening that influence policy development, influence frameworks being built, guidance, that we make ourselves a part of that conversation, in whatever role that may be. And that goes along with, you know, to your point, data privacy, data security, cybersecurity are all very critical components of the responsible AI implications, right? Or implementations. We need to think about what is, not just what is a data source, where is the data coming from, where is it being stored? And that's why I know sometimes we can get frustrated because our information technology groups and our academic affairs sometimes don't move at the same pace on the same topics. But that's because everybody's responsible for ensuring the guardrails are put in place within their area of expertise. Sometimes we did have an LLM that got launched or one of the softwares that got launched that a couple weeks later, major security problem, right? And all of a sudden, when the novice user engages in something, and I'm going to say this to everybody here, you need to read the privacy statements on what you are doing. If you are experimenting with AI and just trying to sandbox, read the privacy piece. If you're not fully understanding what it means, toggle off that you do not want to contribute to the larger body because you can control those parameters. Do you know you can control those parameters? Probably not. Ask the AI you're using. Tell me about your privacy statement. Tell me about what are some of the, ask it, and it will tell you because all your AI is patterns recognitions on data sources. And if it's written in an agreement somewhere, it will tell you. But also ask people. I will tell you a story of one of the faculty members that we had. Wonderful faculty member, super innovative, super, I want to do this. Put their research, unpublished research into one of these without toggling off, that data's gone. mean, it's not gone. They can still publish and get out there beforehand, but it is shared and shared alike. Granted, it was not personally identifiable data, but again, that's their research. That's your IP. We need to be careful about those things. And so put yourself in the conversation. I am skeptical. I am skeptically optimistic. Say that 2 times fast. But I am still very cautious, especially when it comes to my number one role and how I engage with it. So I get it. Now, granted, tiptoe into it. The best way that I use AI for or the first 6 months at least, when it first started coming out, was for dinner. Like, you ate with AI as in your part? No, I didn't go eat with my AI. My husband's a wonderful person to eat dinner with. I look in my refrigerator. I don't have time to go to the grocery store every single day. I open my refrigerator and I say, I have these 6 things in here. I need to make dinner for 4 people. I need it done in about 15 to 20 minutes. I have picky eaters. Here are the things that we don't like in this family. Go. Bam. And then you add, oh, I only want to use 1 skillet because I don't really feel like washing. Then you just get lazy, right? You're like, I only want 1 skillet. I don't want to wash dishes. It gives you that. And then what my AI has now learned to do for me is give me my meal planning schedule for the rest of the week. That's my utility on it. And that's how I started to get comfortable. Once I got comfortable, then we can start to do bigger things. I hope that kind of answered your question.
Hi, Michelle. We do have a question in the chat. This is John again.
Yes, question in the chat.
I can read it for you if that's okay.
Oh, yes, I can't get, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get, yes, please do.
I'm in agreement with not reinventing the wheel and talking and sharing across campuses our materials. As a single faculty member, how do we do that? Join a committee and keep asking about what's being done?
I would definitely encourage you to volunteer for a committee. I mean, what's the worst it can do? So, it happened to me all the time. Like I told you, I sat at tables where they were like, you're not invited, and I was still there. I would definitely volunteer for a committee, but I would also encourage you. I don't know why my voice got louder and I'm talking up to the sky, right? Because that changed because they're online versus just look forward. All right, I do this for a living, people. Okay. I would encourage you, if you are not getting the reception or integrated into the right processes on your own campus, the open environments out there, there's a lot of conversations happening outside of your institution. And get involved in that sense. Bring back that information, because a lot of the times it's with proven, implementations with data that gets attention. I'm not going to call out any administrators in the room, but I can guarantee when someone comes to you and has the data to support it, has the examples of successful implementation in other places, it's a different conversation than when someone comes up and says, I think we should do this. So I would encourage you to get connected to your networks that are out there. Also, your academic disciplines. We are hosting, shameless plug, we are hosting a webinar on AI and accreditation. And we are looking at it from an institutional level as well as a program accreditation level. And those two have different ways. And the reason is we want to be involved in the conversation. Exactly to your point, Jenna Porter, I believe it is that we want to be involved in what are accreditors thinking, how are they designing, and we want to be a part of the conversation. So what do? We called everybody together. We're going to give people a space to talk about things, and everyone's invited to do that. I will send the link to Alex and she can share that, or Dan, and you can share that. Jenna, does that answer your question? Or?
Yes, thank you. I am at CUNY, so I'm not SUNY, so no one has to take that personally. But yeah, I am on a few committees, and I'm finding things and trying to share them like you're saying. But yeah, I'm not actually in a position of leadership in those committees, so I'm doing my best.
I applaud what you're doing. And Jenna, please reach out to me, because we have a strong community college network here and also partner with California and a lot of other states. So we can find a way to get you connected.
Thank you.
Now, no one's going to talk because you're going to get more work. I saw what I did right there. I'm like, you can be on a committee, and everybody's like, nope, not it.
John, anything else in the chat?
No, Alex, there's nothing.
Okay, how about here in the room? Oh, good.
So I tend to think of these things in terms of kind of the big societal implications of these things. And one of the things that struck me was when you were talking about that one tweet where even the experts have a hard time keeping up with this, and nobody really has the whole picture on it. how should we deal with that as a society?
I think two things. Number one is we need to learn from what we've done. We need to learn from what we've done well and what we've done wrong. We all went through the pandemic. It was a global pandemic not too long ago, although I realize that some of you started getting a little, okay, yes, it was hard. We got through it. But for some odd reason, we're not leaning into that experience to guide the way that we're approaching the latest disruption in higher education. And so what I would say is we didn't know everything then about the environment we were currently in, but we thought of a couple of ways of approaching and addressing it. And now we don't know the environment we're in. We're not really even sure about what it can do. Again, sound familiar, global pandemic? But we're thinking about it as if it's the first time we've ever done this. So I really think we need to go back, and I say this so many different ways. I probably acknowledge until we're like done with it, but maybe we'll figure it out and it'll resonate. Make sure to look at what we've done before. We're never going to know everything about everything. Why do you think ChatGPT, the very first iteration, is so different than the one we have now? But the same way that the technology is evolving, we've evolved. Just take prompt engineering. At the very beginning, people would say, I need you to give me a picture of a person at a university. Go. That's what we did. Well, now we know we need to do a lot more than that. Oh, what type of university? Is it outside? Is it indoors? Is it what type of person? What are they wearing? Is it a casual Friday? Is it a suit day? I mean, there is so much in prompt. Did we know that? No, we learned it. Because as the technology evolves, so do we. But we need to make sure that we have some safeguards in place and some guardrails in place to be able to play effectively and to learn effectively. Does that kind of answer your question? Thanks.
Else in the room? Hey, Jeff.
So this is a really fun topic. I just love talking about AI. I know I was at the end of it, but I wanted to put
I wrote
this.
that down.
Okay, good. Yes. You did a phenomenal job talking about it. When I'm presenting AI to faculty and others, honestly, that are concerned about it, I like to frame it in a way that's a little more less scary. And I'm wondering what your take on my interpretation. Basically, what I say to folks is, remember the "I'm feeling lucky" button in Google? It's just that with a personality. And so that's the kind of concept that I look at it, because, in my mind, this is just the tip of the iceberg of natural language processing that we're doing. And just wondering what your feelings on that are, and if that makes sense.
You missed the whole thing. I actually addressed it in my presentation.
I'm sorry. All right, forget it. I apologize.
What happens when you're late? No. I think you can co-present with me the next time that I go. The idea is that we simplify things. Right now, I'm not sure I can use I'm feeling lucky I do work for a state agency. I don't think that me getting out there being like, hey, the headline, Michelle's feeling lucky today. No. But yes, that simple context. And so what we talked about was, whenever you're approaching a technology, find the simplest context, the one that resonates with you so that you understand how to approach it. Get rid of the scary. Don't lose all the fear though, because the fear will drive strategy and will drive that, cautionary, how do I operate in an ethical way and not jeopardize my data and so forth and protect my students' privacy. But do that. I love that. Find those examples. And we have actually been using artificial intelligence for a very long time. In fact, my spelling's gotten a little bit worse because I depend so heavily on Word and Grammarly. And my autocorrect now, though, corrects me in Spanish and English, which is a lot of fun for everyone. But yeah, we've been using AI for quite some time. Who misses Clippy? Shout out on the chat. I don't know why that was so exciting for me, but who misses Clippy? I was Clippy for Halloween. That's what I did. And I even put AI, I am your father was kind of the thing. No, okay, nobody gets it. No start. Okay, no fans. All right, moving on to the next topic. Anyway.
That's okay. I keep looking at the ProC model, which I'm familiar with. And I find that when things are chaotic, which I think many people feel like, in this AI era, frameworks like that are helpful. And so I just want to say thank you for sharing that. And I think the reference to change management, sometimes I talk about change leadership, which is, similar but different. And that I think what really resonated with me with what you talked about was you can be in control, right? And when you can see yourself in that way, as opposed to this change is happening to me, right? I can have a role in influencing or leading that change, right? It's a very different mindset. And so I just wanted to, thank you and just, point out some of the things that resonated with me about this. I thought this was really great. Thanks.
Well, you're very welcome. And I told you I was a counselor. See, all of that made sense. You're like, why do I need to know that much information about you? So that the rest of the presentation makes sense. And even if it didn't, just nod and say it did, because it makes me feel better.
I always think about things from the faculty perspective and from the scholarly or academic perspective. And so I was, kind of piggybacking on what you were saying, Kim, as an educator, we need to be in it to understand and to help guide, first of all, understand it ourselves to help be able to guide, and this is for parents too, be able to help guide our students and our children. We have to experience it first, and to be able to give ourselves the ability to experiment and play and understand it, so that we can help our students and our kids understand how to use it safely and ethically, and understand what the questions are, even though we will never know everything. We have to be in it in order to be able to speak authentically about the experience. So, yeah.
As long as you're comfortable into, this is another piece. I know this is going to be a conflicting one. Don't force yourself into something before you're ready, because that can have some negative results as well. And I say that I taught in a room that was the advanced innovative technology room, and it had like interactive projector. I mean, you could switch, I could toggle, this group's going to showcase their stuff, it's going to throw it on this. I mean, it was beautiful. It was like juggling. Like, it was great. I mean, it was a show every single time. I also realized there were times that my students needed that, and other times where it was a complete distraction sitting in that room. And so we have to be able to know that. And a lot of that comes from your comfort. If you're comfortable doing something, your students will know. If you're not comfortable, they will know that as well. And so it's okay to be vulnerable in front of your students, because I don't think anybody here, other than my computer science people, have a degree in artificial intelligence. And so he's like, I'm right here. I do have one. You, sir, somebody's sit next to him at dinner. Okay. But we have degrees in our own specialty. So if you get to the projector and it's not working and you're trying to mess with cables, or like me that's trying to share a Zoom screen, that may not work. It's vulnerable to be up here and let people see that. And it's kind of one of those, is that going to jeopardize the expertise? Like, I come in as, hello, I am the Assistant Commissioner of Digital Learning. I don't know how to turn on a Zoom. But everything else I say is spot on. So we have to acknowledge that as well. It's a human side.
So I think
There is one from Michael Porterfield. With the students' app innovation overload. Okay, how do you recommend the coordination of this on a campus? Back to strategy, right? So this has to be part of, and this is where administrators also are learning, how do we approach this, right? And so I would highly recommend that it be a university-wide strategy, or at least have voices from the larger campus in a conversation to be able to do that. It is going to be a hard conversation to have, because we each want to control what is within our realm. So like financial aid will want to control how to do that part. The registrar's office will want to do something different. Housing will want something clinical. There's a lot, and there's justified cause for everything. But the idea is, on campuses, I don't remember what the statistic is, but majority of the technology that we deploy on campuses is not optimized to its fullest potential. We use what we are comfortable with without digging into other layers and other modules. And so the idea is, if we can have a conversation where we're all at the table, we'll probably discover that we can utilize some of the technologies to meet majority of our goals and to solve the problems. Because remember, we're not talking about tech implementation, we're talking about solutions to real problems. Problems our students, our institutions, our faculty, our staff are having. And so bring everybody to the table and actually talk about this as a business strategy instead of just some siloed technology.
Thank you very much, Michelle.
You bet.
It was awesome.
Thank
to
you all
have
so
come
much.
here.
Appreciate it.
Michelle will be with us for the rest of the evening.
And thank you to Nancy for the USB drive. Old school. Okay. Go.
So we're going to break down